Okay? Right now. All right? In verse 37, 50:37, Uremia, Jeremiah. What does it say? We went over this in a couple of shows ago. And in the last part of the 37th verse, a sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. Okay, well, this started with the Federal Reserve. Now you can really see how people's treasures, monies, savings have been robbed. And these are all schemes. Who set up the Federal Reserve? The House of Rothschild. Okay? They own all of these banking houses. Okay? Through front men. Okay? And again, all your administration today and all your past administrations are all fronts for the international bankers. That's why when the bankers get this bailout money, they don't have to disclose what they're doing with it. And they haven't. Paulson hasn't disclosed what they've done with the money. And he says we don't have to tell you. Okay? So who's really running the country? Barack Obama's not running it. That's for sure. George Bush wasn't running it. One or two. They all take orders. Okay? And so you can see these prophecies have come to play. But again, this happens to people when they are trusting in idols and images, of which Christianity, Islam, whatever it is, Judaism, all these are religions. All this is idolatry. And when people trust in these things and are caught under the spell of these things, then what? They're trusting in man. What does it say in chapter 17, Uremia, Jeremiah? Woe unto the man who makes flesh his arm, who trusts in man. And when you go to these investment bankers and these stock supposed experts, isn't that what Greenspan and Volcker, all these, and Bernanke, aren't they supposed to be experts? If they're such financial experts, how did this mess occur, this financial collapse that's affecting all the world? They're supposed to be experts. How did this take place? This is because this is a scheme. Okay? And people have been put under a trance because they're in idolatry. So they're not able to charm and see through these schemes that have come about through Esau's subtleness. Okay? Because again, in 47 Isaiah, it's talking about the daughter of Babylon. Esau set up the United States of America, the daughter of Babylon. It says, thy wisdom and thy knowledge has perverted thee. Okay? They're not using the wisdom and understanding that Yah gave them for good, because again, they are the sword carriers. What did Yah say in Uremia? And we brought this out in the past. Uremia chapter 25, verses 15 and 16, verses 27, 8, and 9, because we put 27, 8, and 9 in this flyer. Okay? What does it say? It says, Yah says, I'm going to send a sword upon the inhabitants of the earth. And again, as we said in previous shows, that's the British East India Company, the French East India Company, the Dutch East India Company. Cristobal Colon, supposedly Christopher Columbus, was an Edomite, a Jew. Because again, Israel is not Jews. We're Israelites. Okay? So now, getting back to this, what we ended, that I said we were going to talk about, again, we're going to fill it out more with the situation with Cyrus, okay, and Zerubbabel, and that situation, what we talked about on the previous show, because this is part 2, again, of the dispelling of the Christian myth, okay, and it was Cyrus, okay, as we said in the previous show, who gave the proclamation, okay, to build this temple as it was prophesied in Daniel chapter 9. Verse 24, 25, it was Cyrus that gave this proclamation. And he gave it to who? The Messiah the Prince. Who was the Messiah the Prince? It tells you in Ezra chapter 1. His name was Sheshbazzar. He was the Prince of Yehuda. And Sheshbazzar was Zerubbabel's captive name. Okay? Now, what we didn't talk about, that I wanted to mention specifically, okay, in Isaiah, the prophecy of Cyrus first came forth through Isaiah in the 8th century BC, approximately 160 to 200 years before Cyrus was raised up, before Cyrus was raised up to start conquering these nations. All right? And what I didn't mention, okay, and I meant to mention, in the last show, again, was, like it says in the last verse of chapter 44, Isaiah, 28th verse, Yah says that says of Cyrus, he is my shepherd and shall perform all my pleasure, even saying to Jerusalem, thou shalt be built, and to the temple thy foundation shall be laid. Now, Cyrus issued a decree to build the temple, as it was prophesied of, as it tells you in the last chapter, 2nd Chronicles chapter 36, starting at verse 21. Okay, we read that last show. All right, he issued the proclamation. It establishes this in the 1st chapter of Ezra. And the foundation was laid during Cyrus's time. Okay, the foundation was laid. And you read about that in Ezra chapter 3. The foundation was laid, okay? Because they finished laying the foundation on the 2nd month of the 2nd year of their return. Remember now, it's 52 weeks in a year, 4 weeks in a month. So after 56 weeks, the foundation was laid. They dedicated it, okay? And what we didn't bring out in the last show, in chapter 45, it says, Yah raised up Cyrus to do this. Now, again, the prophecy came out 160 to 200 years prior to Cyrus. And all those nations in the known world, they knew about this prophecy. And here's the substantiation to the fact that they knew about it. When you get to 45 Isaiah and you drop down to verse 14, what does it say? Thus saith Yah, the labor of Egypt and the merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabians, men of stature. Okay, so this wasn't just anybody. This is men of stature in these three nations, of these three peoples, Ethiopians, Egyptians, and the Sabians. It says, shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine. They shall come after thee in chains. So they were defeated by Cyrus now. Okay, they're in chains, men of stature. All right, so these educated men. Says, and they shall be thine. They shall come after thee in chains. They shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely Yah is in thee, and there is none else. There is no strong one. You understand? Verily thou art Yah that hides thyself, O strong one of Israel, the Savior. Now that's what they said to Cyrus. Looking at Cyrus, because they had heard about this prophecy. So when Cyrus performed this, when Yah had given these nations under his dominion, and he had defeated them. Now these is educated men that knew about this prophecy. They said, you are Yah that hides himself. Okay, now what does the next verse say? Okay, in verse 16, 45:16 Isaiah, it says, they shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of what? Idols. All right? That are maker and worshiper of idols. They shall go to confusion together. All right? And that's why they said what they said to Cyrus. Because they thought he was Yah. Because they were confused. Because they were idol worshipers. Okay? The same thing what you have today. People are confused. Okay? They are confused. Because why? They are a worshiper of idols. Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Scientology, Buddhism, Hinduism, whatever ism it is idolatry if it's not Yah-ism. Simple as that. That's why all these people are in a tumult. Okay? That's why all these people, like it says in Jeremiah chapter 30, alas, that day is great. Okay, now it says, for even it is the time of Jacob's trouble, but it should say, and you'll read it later on in that chapter, that's another spot where they changed Jacob. It should say, they changed it to Jacob. It should say, it is even the time of Zion's trouble. Because that's who it's really talking about. Okay, because we all in this now, we all in trouble. You follow me? Economically, okay, we in trouble. All right, like we said on the last show, this is why Esau has done all this. He said, you know who you are? You know who we are? Not the last show, but the show prior to that one.